Hello guys, welcome to a new video in which we are going to continue our JavaScript session and starting from our Firefox browser, tagging it to left side of the screen and navigating to geek4geek.org, and alongside we will open our VS Code, our favorite note-taking app, with a new empty session and selecting the development folder. I will have to zoom it again. We have to open a folder. The folder that we are going to open is development. And for you all guys, let me zoom it. Okay. So actually, I have made some changes as I am learning the MERN Creative Development Project by Sharian's Coding School. I advise you to check that out too because I'm going the creative side of the development and continuing our JS Harsh series with our mm, readme.md file. Okay, let's close it and navigating to the end of this. And yes, where we were at JavaScript. We already did cover this key feature of JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript basis. We already covered a lot of JavaScript, and I think that's actually enough in order to handle some JavaScript code. But in order to complete this web page, complete every topic of this web page, we will continue this kind of video, one to two more videos, because as I can see, we are almost at the end of that. Okay, not the end of JavaScript, but at the end of the contents of this website, particular about JavaScript. I'm very sure there must be this, for example, libraries which we can also study in detail if I also do such kind of video. But for the vanilla JavaScript, I think we are quite done here. So let's start with some miscellaneous thing because we already done this, and I am very sure that miscellaneous thing we can. I think we should or could cover this in entire topic in this session that we are going to have. So guys, pull up your seat belts and let's begin. Starting with this keyword. And along with, we are also initiating our chat GPT as well as Bing chat session. And let's continue. Actually, I have zoomed out the chat GPT, which make no sense. Let's go back to 200% and 200% for this one too, and start it. We already know how this keyword is referred. Okay. So we will begin it by revising. In JavaScript, this keyword refers to the current object context. Okay. This is not a variable, it is a keyword. I don't know why, but I feel like we have already heard heard this keyword in one of my previous video. I think we got in classes video. This keyword is covered, but never mind. There's no problem in revising this. Okay. Here this dot name refers to this variable, this dot is refers to this thing. Okay. So this basically sets the context of the features or things that it is borrowing from. Then we got using this in a function. This refers to current execution. So the current execution means the parameter that the function is going to have. Or otherwise, if we are not in strict mode, because we are just going to learn strict mode in the just next web page. So if we are in strict mode, then this will refers to undefined because globally this is not defined. And I'm very sure that here we have our context. So if we passing and say hello grid, then for this function, the context would be John. And for the very first thing, it is undefined because this surname does not have any definition. So it will pick the global thing. And because we usually the JavaScript runs in a strict mode, hence it is getting undefined. Actually, the main point of view or the point of thing that I am going to learn from this session particularly is actually what is the strict mode. I've heard everywhere that no strict mode, but what is it? We're going to see as soon as possible. Let me finish this using this alone, and we are and yes, we also have binding things: implicit binding, explicit binding, default binding. Then there's arrow function binding, because arrow function don't have any. Uh, is this as all? I think we have. I think we have written it in last video about this property for arrow function. Let me search for it. Oh, static method. This a static method cannot access instance property directly. This within a static method refers to the class, not the instances of class. Okay. Okay. And let's search for the arrow thing that we are talking about. Arrow. Arrow function do not have their own this context. They inherit this from the surrounding lexical context. Okay. So because it don't have its own this, it it feels like it should borrow the age from this thing or from this variable, but it just saying undefined. Why so? Because it is in arrow function. I know I got it, but let's try. In JavaScript, arrow function do not have the inherit from the surrounding lexical concept. Hope. To fix that, you can change the arrow function to a regular function. Okay. But I want to know. Okay. The lexical thing is saying that this parenthesis block, the exact code that I have selected is only be surrounded. This is only surrounded to the boundaries of these curly braces. Hence, this cannot access this variable. Deception. Deception by this. And that's okay. That's all for this. I didn't mean that. Should I go for quiz? Why not? But we will uh, prompt it to ask me tricky questions. Okay. Copying the prompt. Uh, Going to Copilot session. Ask me tricky question. Which of the following scenarios is this referring to? Global window in browsers, inside method, inside a constructor function, inside a regular function, inside a arrow function. So D would never be the answer. Inside a method called on an object, inside a constructor function, inside a regular function. I'm going with C. Yes. Next, you have a nested object representing a company. You want to write a method inside the object that calculates the total number of employee in any department, in all department. The methods need to correctly reference the company object using this. Okay. So we have to sum the engineering, market and sales. Again, I'm not going to copy, solve it by myself, but sure we will see and evaluate the code given by ChatGPT. I just like this. Total employees. Return object dot values. We use object dot values to get the number of employees in each department. Okay, and we are using the reduce method. Reducing to sum comma number, sum plus number else 0, sums up those values. Okay, if you recall correctly, we have already seen this reduce method in very first 3 or 4 videos, in which this reduce value actually reduces the sum of an array, and here we are using this for object dot values, this dot departments. Okay, and this dot departments, the key are engineering, marketing and sales, and values are 50, 30 and 20. Okay, and but before doing anything, let ask another thing with ChatGPT. How to use reduce method to get sum of an array. Just for a quick revision. Okay, we have a number here, numbers dot reduce accumulator and current value, and we are returning accumulator and current value, and the current value will be 0 for the beginning. So it accumulates first and the current value is 0, then it will 1, then it again accumulate 2, and 2 and 1 3, 3 and 3 6, 6 and 4 10, 10 and 5 15, hence the output will be 15. Okay, and for the shorter method we can use arrow function, but here we are restricting the this scope, so that's why we are not using an arrow function here, because we need these correctly. Okay, now let's continue to our question answer. Object dot values. Next, okay, the value of this inside a regular method refers to object that owns the method. In contrast, this inside a arrow function refers to context which the arrow function was created, not the object that called it. This makes arrow function useful for maintaining the current this value in nested function. Okay. One more question, then we will move. One more question. You have a person class with a method to update the person name. Inside the method, there's an asynchronous operation simulated with set timer to update the name after delay. You need to ensure that this context inside the asynchronous operation correctly refers to person instance. Okay, copy it, and ChatGPT will take care of the explanation as well, and I'm going to narrate it. So to implement the update name method, so it keeps update after a delay, you can use the set timeout, and to ensure this correctly refers to person, you can use arrow function. Okay, so it preserves the context of this. This dot name is equal to new name, and the console dot log name updated to this dot name. Okay, and delay of 1 second. Okay. This dot name is equal to new name. Here we are using arrow function at an advantage in to prevent this from getting this name instead of this particular one, new name. Okay. Let's copy and see what it will bring. Okay. Using I think I need to copy this. No. This need not to be copied. Actually, I'm talking about this paragraph. That's okay. Let's move to our next web sheet. What is strict mode? Strict mode in JavaScript. The use strict directive introduced in ECMAScript version 5 is a literal expression rather than a statement that is ignored by earlier JavaScript version. Its purpose is to enforce a strict mode, ensuring the correct code is executed with a stricter parsing and error handling. In strict mode, you cannot use undeclared variable, among other enforced rules. Using use strict eliminates silent error, enhance performance, disable unsafe feature, and make code more secure. Okay. Stricter parsing, error handling, and or cannot use undeclared variable. Okay. Eliminate silent error, converts JavaScript silent error into throw error, making debugging easier. Okay. Help JavaScript engine to optimize code. Okay. Future proofing profit syntax likely to be defined in future ECMA version. Okay. Prevent unsafe action, disables confusing feature, and makes it easier to write secure JavaScript. Strict mode can be written in two ways, a global and function scope. And remember, uh, the strict mode does not work with block statement enclosed in curly braces. Okay. To invoke a strict mode for an entire script, put the exact statement, use strict, before any other statement. Enabling script mode on a function by function basis to avoid uses by concatenating strict and non-script script ensures compatibility and preventing unintended strict mode application in entire script. Okay. Likewise, to invoke a strict mode for a function, put the exact use strict in the function body. Okay. Before any statement. Actually, what it does is it's limit the code writing syntax in order to make the code future version compatible, as well as reducing the memory usage or enhancing the efficiency of the code. Okay, in strict mode, attempting to delete a variable or function declares throws an error. Okay, duplicate parameter cause duplicating also cause error. Next, octal number literals. Here we are using on state. So 010 is interpreted as an invalid octal literal because octal literals starting with 0 are not allowed in strict mode. Okay. And finally, using escape characters. Here we are using use strict, and escape 010 is interpreted as an invalid octal literal, throwing an error when trying to assign it to variable x. And use strict and defining object non-writable throws an error when attempting to assign 3.14 to object x. Okay, violating its non-writable property definition. Writing to get only property. Using use strict disallows assigning values to read only property, like object.ask with a getter, causing an error in the code trying to reason. Okay. Okay. Setting getter only property X. Using use script prohibits deletion of property of built-in object like object.prototype, which cause an error in the code snippet attempting to delete object.prototype. Okay, so we cannot delete when we are using strict. And e- strict mode also restrict the eval. Okay, and using arguments as variable. Using use strict disallows the using arguments as variable name, causing an error. I will certainly have a summary for the this particular web page because there's a lot of things that are restricted by use strict. When using use strict, prevent with statement causing an error if used. The code snippet demonstrate by attempting with a statement throws an error. Okay. In functions calls bracket, this function, the value was a global object. In strict mode, it is now undefined. In normal JavaScript, a developer will not receive any error feedback, assigning values to non-writable properties. Okay. So first I will have a summary for the following page. Don't worry, I will copy it so you guys can also see. Copy this, and we have a test MD file as well for these kind of readings. Paste, Control Shift and V, and then Control K and Z. Yes. So we are talking about strict mode in JavaScript. Strict mode is a way to opt into a restricted variant of JavaScript. It's an opt-in method. It helps in catching common coding errors and unsafe actions, which are now done using TypeScript, I guess. Okay. Then we will talk about TypeScript as well. So key features is eliminate silent errors, fixes mistakes, and prevent global variables, which means the variables must be declared, disallows certain syntax, and throws error for unsafe action. How to enable? We have to just use strict. One thing to remember, that use strict written as global does not affect the curly braces of the function. So we also have to write use strict in quotation inside the curly braces of the function in order to use strict there. Next is benefits, improves performance, enhances security, and they have common restrictions. No with a statement. This in function default to undefined instead of global object. Duplicate parameters are not allowed. By adopting strict mode, developer can write cleaner and more reliable code. Okay. Control K, Z, no, F11. Yes, F11 brings back. I just want a list of all restrictions. Can you please list all restrictions by strict mode in JS in bullet? Let's remove this. And while the things is being written, I'm going to have a p break. Break over, guys. Let's continue with the strict mode restrictions. So the first is undeclared variable. Assigning a value to an undeclared variable will throw a reference error. And we have read-only properties. Attempting to assign a value to a read-only property will throw a type error. Deleting variable, you cannot delete variable, function, or function parameters. Attempting to do so will throw a syntax error. Let me pause this clock for a while. And then we have duplicate parameter error. This behavior in function, this is defined as this is undefined instead of global object if the function is called without an explicit context. Octet literals, okay. Then we have eval restrictions. With statement, the with statement is not allowed and will throw a syntax error. And then we have function name restrictions. You cannot use the keyword like arguments and eval as variable or function name. And getter and setter restriction, you cannot use create getter and setter properties using the same name. Doing so will throw in syntax error as well. And I think I should copy and save it to our main file, which is readme.md. Let's go to its last and paste. Oh, sorry. Copied it, paste it, and delete it. And we have to remove it. Restrictions import by strict mode. Okay. And if I preview this, then certainly, and we have to go to the last in order to view what we just did is restrictions imposed by strict mode. Okay? What we can also do is write triple hashes in order to make it much more pretty. Yes, now the font has bolden by. Okay, time to continue. Time to continue. Not to the next web page, but to the quiz. Staying logged out. Copying it, pasting it to this chatbot. Sorry, guys. And yes, which of the following is true about strict mode in JS? It allows use of undeclared variable. It permits duplication, disallows deletion. Yes, C is true. In strict mode, assigning a value to an undeclared variable will throw an error. True. Next, you have a function that calculates the area of a rectangle. You want to enforce a strict mode inside the function to ensure it catches any potential issues. We just have to simply multiply the width and height. Return with x height. But let's see what ChatGPT will tell us. Okay, if type of width is not a number or type of height is not a number, then you have to throw type error. And if the type of width is less than 0 or the height is less than 0, throw range error. Okay, and finally we have to return the area. Good thought. Remember, guys, never forget to just check your code or just upload the code basically for the project, not for the project that you do your that you perform for the companies, because those are closed source project and must not be uploaded right in the chat GPT in the void, because these data can be crucial. But for the basic function, it need to be checked with chat GPT. It will certainly add some type checkings. Next, Okay, so we have to first copy and paste it. And as a developer, it's your right to copy and paste stuff because you do this all day. Benefits of strict mode. Okay, one more question. You have a person object that includes a nested address. You have to update the address property and ensure that the person object is always maintained the correct this context, even when the update person is called in different context. Okay, this is a new kind of question and it must be studied by ChatGPT. Let's see what it will bring us. We have to bind it. Okay, bind with person. We can use an arrow method as well. This dot address dot string. Okay, using an inner function to retain the context. So I will go with bind one. Good, 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 good. Let's keep the show going. And with set timeout and set interval method. We already know a few things about set timeout method. It takes input as a millisecond and it will perform a function. Yes. Okay. So the clear timeout method means clearing the value provided in the set timeout. So essentially it breaks the timeout. Okay. And we also have a set interval method that repeats a given function. Okay. Good. I don't know why, but it just brings a smile on my face. That's all. Let's start a quiz for this type out and interval method. I've never been happy reading anything else. I don't know why. Yes, which of the following best describes the set timeout method? Repeatedly excuse. No, it does not repeatedly excuse. It executes a function once. So B would be the nice. Set interval. No. One second. Specified intervals until. Oh yes, yes. Actually, it was true, my friend. Okay. And so this time we have to copy start from this and just up to this and move to this. Control Shift B and so we only need this thing. Set timeout. Get element by ID. One second, I got lost. So what we did is set timeout documents.get element by ID message dot inner text hello world every 3 seconds. We are updating it every 3 seconds because that was our task. And the second task was to update the set interval at every second. So we are using 1000 as a second timer and we are using the document.get element by ID timer and we are implementing the seconds every second. We can also console log this. Let's try it on our test JS. If I copy all, delete it, paste the new thing, and remove it. Dot. We don't have to get anything. Okay. So instead of this, what we can do is simply write console.log hello world. Hello world every 3 seconds, and we can do the same. No, 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 no. We can remove entire this line and seconds. What we can do is console.log if I try. Oh god, I wrongly added three more files because that was my last command. But where I added these three files? Harsh, yes, Harsh. Okay. Style.css. Okay, so here is our file. If here is our new file, script.js. It is our new file, and index dot. No, so only had we added two files wrongly. So let me delete that. And yes, let's run node s01.js, and we have a timer which updates every second, and every third second the two things are going to be printed. Okay, so this we are using, I think, set timer. So it is only printed once, set timeout, and we have a certain interval, so it will continue printed until the function is manually stopped using Control C. And time to move to next topic, the type of operator. What is it? The JavaScript type of operator returns the data type of a variable or an expression. It is a unary operator placed before its operand and returns a string indicating the data type. Okay, such as number, string, or boolean. Okay. Okay. So null is the intentional absence, and the unified is the what you can say, the undeclaration of a value. The declared but unassignment of a value. Okay. That's all. Let's go to quiz as quickly as possible. As quizzly as possible. Copying it all, pasting it to our quiz bot. What will type of null return in JavaScript? Type of null. Null, is it an object? It may be, because most of the things in JavaScript are object. I'm going with A. Let's see. In JavaScript, the type of null returns object. It's a quirk of language that's been around since its early days. And there I'm great in to understanding the quirk of the languages. And next thing, the type of operator can be used to determine if a variable is an array. True, we can use this. Certainly we can. Okay, which can misleading. To check variable you go to is array very okay. Okay. And there I failed to handle the quirks of the language. Write a function check types that logs the type of each variable in type of operator. Okay, and this is a kind of repetitive task. So for such kind of task, our trusty old friend is great. And this is the boilerplate. We have to write console log a for everything. Okay, let's copy this and paste it here. Let's see. So first is string. Next is number. Then it is a boolean. Then it is an object and object. What is the courses? It's an array and still an object, and it's an object. So object is presented here. Then we have a function, and then we have undefined, and null is also presented an object. Good. Next. Next. Okay, the type of null returns object due to a long-standing bug in JavaScript. Originally, the null was intended to be its own type. However, the type of operator incorrectly classified it as the object. So we are currently on which version of JS? Let's see how many iterations of JavaScript has already been done. Yearly updates. So can you just tell me how many times JS has been updated? Okay, 15 times. Okay, so the ES4 was skipped, was planned but never released. On after 3 we get 5. Check my Okay, never mind. Let's switch our gear to next page, which is debugging. Debugging in JavaScript refers to the process of identifying and fixing errors or bugs in code. It involves using various tools like browser console, which you can enable open using F12 on the most of browser. And yes, we are on developer tools. And here we have a debugger. And we already have a JavaScript open, I think, for this page. And this is a very long code. I know it might be misleading that you are only seeing 2 lines, but if you format this, the certainly it may be of 100 or 200 lines or even more. Who knows? Never mind. So debugging in JavaScript refers to the process of identifying and fixing errors in bugs in code. It involves using various tools like browser consoles, debuggers, and logging techniques to analyze runtime behavior, trace program flows, and resolve issues. using debugger keyword or using console.log method. The debugger keyword is used to code to force stop the execution of code at a breaking point and calls the debugging function. Actually, there's also a debugging method built in VS Code, but I still haven't used it a single while, and I actually don't know how to its work. And it is a click to add a breakpoint method. I don't know because as we also have a debugger here, run and debug, it must be related to that. So if you want to break the code at here, then see the output, etc. Who knows? I will certainly go in this scope as well. But now we are using the debugger in JavaScript. Okay, debugging demonstration H4. If the debugger is turned on, the code stops execution at the start of debugger. Okay, so here we have a debugger. Document.get element by id dot inner equal to z. And we don't have an output here. So let me copy it. Pasting it to our HTML file, test HTML. Copying all over it. And going live with this file. Let's see. The solution of 20 into 5 is 100. Okay. If the debugger is turned on, code stops execution at the start of debugger. But we get the 100. Okay. Previously, implementing debugger was tough. With the time it had advent of modern browsers, built-in debuggers came into implementation. As previously mentioned, setting of breakpoints break the line of code and flows the control to area where it is called. This can be done in debugging window of the browser. Also, setting up of breakpoints in JavaScript acts similar to breakpoints in Java, where the execution of the code stops and examination of the value is performed by a browser. One can resume the flow after examination is done. The debugging can be turned off depending on user's convenience, and this all can be done through the console of the debugger menu. Okay, if I reload this, everything loads. If I F12, we have open JavaScript and pause on debugger statement, and if I reload this again, and here we see the magic. The solution is not loaded as you can see here. Let me zoom it for you all to see, and I am also not able to zoom it. So if I pause this again, as you can see, the debugging demonstrated using of debugger keyword. The debugger keyword is placed right below where we update the inner HTML, this 100 thing. Okay, so if opening developer mode window, this is our developer mode, and if I refresh the page, and sorry, we are not getting anything. First we have to close this developer mode window, then refresh F12, and we have a breakpoint answer here. Pause on the debugger statement, and if I reload the web page, and here you can see that we are not getting solution of any kind because the debugger paused the loading of web page first to inspect the code. And what code? This is the code, and we have get element by id test. Paused on debugger statement. And you also have an option to pause the code on exception. And we have a scopes here, which is block scope and window scope. Okay, watch expression. Do we have anything? No, nothing. Oh my god, you guys seen my IP address, which used to be a private IP, I think. Of course, it is a private IP. I'm a network engineer. You can trust me. And never mind. Let's close this. Continuing with our JavaScript, let's see if is there any quizzes from this topic. Copying the quiz statement, moving to our copilot, pasting it, and yes. Which of the following method is not commonly used for debugging in JavaScript? Console.log, alert, console.error, document.write. Console.log is used. I think alert is not used for debugging. Console.error, document.write. I think error alert is not used for debugging. Okay. Okay. So what actually document.write means? Document dot write method explain. 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 Explain for kids. The document write method is a simple way to write text, HTML, JavaScript directly to a web page during the initial loading or passing of document. Okay. Okay, if I copy this to a test file and okay, and if I reload it again, so actually we don't have anything inside the body, but document.write method specifically he writes this thing as h1 tag and p tag. It's a great thing. I think this topic should be covered in DOM portion of the JavaScript. Have we covered it right now? DOM. Wait a second. There's nothing DOM portion, or there was. There is an object oriented portion, but no, there's not a specific DOM portion. It could be. Never mind. Let's continue to using debugger in code allow to pause execution. Yes, true. Next, you have a function that calculates the factorial, but it's not working correctly. You need to debug. I'm very sure ChatGPT will first try to fix the function itself. But after passing the accurate prompt, introduce console.log. Okay, the function got really large. So what is it? Function calling factorial. Okay, then we have a base case. Base case reached. Okay. Then we are pausing in a debugger. Recursive case. Const result equal to n into factorial n minus 1. Okay. Calculating a factorial. And then we are returning the result. So it was nothing, just plain old console.log written spreaded everywhere. Actually, it is calling himself as a pro because I've just copied it ChatGPT. Who am I saying to you? You have just seen what I did. Why did just did? Never mind. And let's try. Do we need to try any next question regarding this? I don't think so. So let's continue to our next web page. Local storage. What is local storage? Local storage is a web storage feature that allows you to store key value pairs in a browser. Data persists even after browser is closed. providing a method to save and retrieve data cross session, enhancing user experience. Okay, our storage equal to window.local storage. And then we can set item, get item, gets the key of an index on a specified index, length of the stored item. We can remove item and deletes everything. Okay. So origin bound data is stored per domain and is not shared across. Okay, okay. It is persistent. Okay. This storage limit for 5 MB, which is greater than the 4 MB limit for cookie. So we can store something on browser. Okay, and no automatic transmission. Unlike cookies, local storage is not sent with every HTTP, making it more efficient for client-side storage. Okay. Go to application, storage, and local storage. So let's see what this Geek for Geek is storing in our web computer. We have to go to application tab. So there must be an application here. Here is the application tab, and in which we have in left hand menu a storage section. So if I decrease the font size, no, we don't have a storage, but we do have manifest storage. No, I'm not getting any storage. Let me try or searching it in network section. No, we don't have nothing either. One second, there's a memory section. Okay, so we have a storage section separately. And yes, we do have cookies stored here. Okay. And particularly we are interested in local storage, which is this. Is logged in true username and token. So this part must be protected at all cost. So I'm glad that some parts are hidden. Let me zoom it, but it doesn't matter, I guess. But attacker can use or attack these cookies, the local storage cookies. So they can generate their own and hack my session probably. So next is updating data, removing a key, deleting, and that's all. Can local storage store objects, but you need to serialize an object to a string using stringify. Okay. 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 Okay, that's all. Let's go to quiz. Copying it, pasting it here. Let's deep dive into local storage. We have an issue here. Is it? We have warnings, few warnings, cookie warnings, one error also could not establish connection. Never mind. Which of the following is true about the local storage in JavaScript? It stores data in session, which is cleared when browser is closed. It stores data with no expiration. It can only store numerical, and it stores. So only thing that is true is D. Okay. So what was the D? It has storage limit of 5 MB per domain in most browser. I just want confirmation. do local storage is the storage limit of 5. Yes, God. Next, the local storage object in JavaScript can store any type of data. No, only key value pairs are stored. Okay. To save the user preference object to local storage, then retrieve it, you can convert the object to a string using json.stringify before saving it. Retrieve the string from local storage and parse it back to an object using json.parse. Okay. Set item, get item, user preference, json.stringify user pref. Retrieve object from local storage, constitutive preferences equal to local storage dot get item user preference. Okay. Pass the retrieved string back to an object. Okay. Good. Let's copy and paste the code here. And I want an explanation what json dot stringify does to an object. Okay. Indents with two spaces. Why we are passing null as second parameter param. Replacer function that allows you to control how objects are converted into. When you pass null as the second parameter, it indicates that you do not want to modify the serialization process. Okay. Okay. The array of a string that specifies the name of properties to include the JSON string. Only properties with name included in this array will be serialized. Okay. Function string or null. Close. Okay. 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 We can pass array as well. We are not getting an example for the array. I want to see example of using array as replacer. Object, name, city, hobbies. Only three things: name, cities, and hobbies. Okay. So this is quite easier than using a function, but both have their separate unique use cases. So no one is great. And this is the same thing that goes in IT. Everything is great in their own space. Next is, let's close this and move to our next callback. Callback clauses differ scope and void. Okay. This will be covered in this video, but after a little bit tiny break. The break is for me, not for you. You are free whenever you want to take a break. Just pause this video, take a break, and come back. And remember to use the extension that I all numerous times told you about jump cutter. The extension that automatically speeds up the silence in the video, and it is very helpful to learn from the contents like this where the contents is sparsely populated over the timeline. That's all. I will be back in a few minutes. Okay guys, the break went over for me, and let's continue with our JavaScript. We are going to learn about callbacks. So let's start. Callback. JavaScript is designed to handle asynchronous programming, which allows us to perform multiple tasks at once without blocking the main execution thread. Callbacks are the fundamental in this context, as they enable you to execute a specific code after a synchronous task is completed. Here, what we will see callbacks are and why they are important. So, callback is a function that is passed as an argument to another function and is executed after the completion of the main function. So in simple terms, a callback function is at the end of a task to be either deliver result or perform an action. You pass this callback function to main function, and once the main function completes, it invokes the callback function to proceed with next step. Okay. If I break it down further, a callback is a function and passed as argument to another function, executed after the completion of main function, is called at the end of task to deliver result or perform an action. Okay. So callbacks are used for managing the outcomes of an asynchronous task without blocking the program's execution. Asynchronous tasks like database query, network request, fetching API, and sometimes the program would halt if they were done, resulting in sluggish user experience. So with callbacks, you can keep the program running while this task can happen in background. Next, callbacks are used in asynchronous programming. Okay. When callbacks are used for non-blocking programs, higher order function. And higher order function is a function that takes one or more function as arguments. Okay. So I think we have something regarding higher order functions. Where is our main readme? Let's find it. No, we don't have anything. But this need to be added. A higher order function is a function that too and returns a function as a result. Okay. Now, anonymous function. The anonymous function is a function that is not named and often uses callback. Okay. And finally closer. Okay. Okay. Basic callback function. So here we have a function called main function that is taking a parameter, another function which is called callback. So if the main function runs, it will console log the perform operation. And after a timeout, it is again running a next callback function which says operation complete after 1 second. Define the callback function. Function callback function result console.log result plus result. Okay. And main function is called, and the callback function with the parameter callback function. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of boilerplate, and we used to define main function is defined within its own what to say curly braces, and the callback function is defined separately. Or we are just decorating the callback function here, who knows. We will see more when actual practical we are doing with. Okay, so we have an array with a number, then we are function main, we are passing callback as a parameter, console.log performing operation. Okay, numbers dot for each callback function callback function console.log result plus number. Okay, numbers dot for each thing we are performing a callback, and callback is defined here, which is being passed here. Then this callback will become parameter, and this such a mind boggling experience. So if I have to explain it using arrows, which I will certainly try to do, open the screen capture utility. Mm, no, not this one. Meta, shift, and print. Yes, using the annotation tool. Yes. So what this thing is doing, actually we are calling a main function here. So the main function is defined in this line. Okay. So we are calling this main function, and the task of the main function is defined within this parenthesis. So this is the task of the main function. The parameter of the main function, which is callback in this case, we are predetermining after the running of the main function what should be done. So this should be done, and this is defined in this parenthesis. We are console logging the result with the addition of result string. Okay, that's everything that is being done here. But first, while we are running the main function, we are passing this console log indicating that the main function has been run. And for everything, for each values in the above index, we are performing this callback, which ultimately does this. So it's a mind-boggling experience. But I think we got it. We also have a pixelation. What kind of pixelation? Okay. uh, Remove it. Escape. And now. Okay. Thanks for your explanation. I hope mine does way better than this website. Please visit the website as well in order to increase some organic traffics. Okay, I'm very sorry. I simply written JavaScript callbacks. One second, is it asking me questions? Great. What is callback function? A function that call itself. No, no, no. A function that is passed as a argument to another function. So I think B. B. Not I think. I am very sure that it's B. Always asynchronous. False. Because the example that we just written, it's not asynchronous. You have a function load script that loads a script from a given URL. You want to use callback to notify when the script has loaded. Okay. We simply had to write an onload with arrow function, which simply has a console log statement printed here. I'm very sure that the only thing that ChatGPT is going to add. Let's see. Console.log script loaded success. That's all. Copy the code, give it to him, and done. Invoking the callback function, and here the callback function is load script defined separately, and that's all. Let's switch to closers. There used to be a song called Closer. Never mind. It was a pop song, a very famous one, Closer, which is often mixed with a Hindi song called Kabira. I actually don't recall the tune or the rhythm of the Closer. Never mind. Let's see what the closure is in JavaScript. Closure in JavaScript are the function that retain access to variable from the containing scope even after the parent function has finished executing. I think we have something for closure already written. Closure. Yes, from the same page. Closure that retains access to outer scope even after the outer function has finished executing. This allows the inner function to remember the environment in which it was created. To lexical scoping. Give function inner. Okay. Who runs the inner function, and within this, this inner function also runs, and it will return the B. Okay, and it will output the B. Okay, so 1 1 1. We can access the variable B, which is defined in the function foo through function inner, as later preserves the scope chain of the enclosing function at the time of execution of the enclosing function. The inner function knows the value of B through its scope chain. This is closure in action, and inner function can have access the outer function variable as well as global variable. So we have a basic closure here, and we have slightly typical question. Let's see. We have an outer function which is storing anonymous function. Let me. So first we are defining a function in which we are initializing an empty array. We are just declaring an I, and first here we are what assigning an I a value of 0, and if the I is less than 4, then we are incrementing the I. Okay, and if index of the array is equal to function return I, is equal to return I. Okay, returning the array. 0 output will be 4, 1 output will be 4, 2 output will be 4. What we did here, One second. In the above code, we created four clauses that point to the variable I, which is the local variable to the function outer. Closure does not remember the value of variable, it only points to the variable or stores the reference of variable, hence returns the current value. Some neat stuff. I just want to I just want to understand this code much more better way using GPT. Let's see. In the provided code, you have an outer function that creates an array of the anonymous function. However, due to how clauses and variables scoping work in JavaScript, all the function in array will return the same value when invoked. Okay. A variable scope. The I is declared in the outer's function scope. When the for loop runs, it creates four functions that all reference the same variable I. Okay. So here the four functions are created. Okay, because as the I is incremented up to 4, the four functions are created. Okay. Each anonymous function forms a closure around the variable I, not its value at the time of creation. Therefore, all functions will return the final value of I after the loop ends. Okay. Okay. So there's a fix. You can use an immediately invoked function expression to create a new scope for each iteration. Okay, what we are doing here is array I is a function of index, return function return index. Okay, good. So now I understood. The last iteration of I is being referenced by this in normal function. So every I is 4 because at last it was 4. Okay. And in this case, in this scenario, everything remains the same. The only addition that we did is for every index, we are yeah, running the function with parameter index, and we are returning a new function which returns the index. Hence, for every increment, the index gets incremented and we are getting 0, 1, 2, and 3. One second. Ideally, it should output 3 as the limiter limits I up to I as less than 4. This thing actually pops in my mind. Okay. When the loop runs, it increments I from 0 to 3. After the loop completes, I becomes 4. Okay. Okay, so I becomes 4, which is not less than 4. Okay. Very, very, very mind boggling. And we also have another thing. what we are doing is, for array I, we are passing the create closure I, which returns a function and returns the value. So instead of passing the index as the GPT does, uh, where it was, yes, as the passing the index or returning the index as the GPT does, this also has a new method in which we are passing the create closure with a parameter I, and the create closure is a a parameter that takes val as an parameter, returns function. Okay, and it asks, okay, plain outer function is defined. It contains another function called create closure. The create closure takes a parameter val and returns another function, an anonymous function. So in a function, we are returning a function which also returns a function. In a function, we are actually running a function which returns a function and which returns the parameter that it takes. Okay, an empty array is stored, variable I is used in loop. For loop iterates over 0 to 3 inclusive. Okay, in each iteration, it calls create closure I and assigns the resulting function to array.i, arr I. Each time create closure is called, it captures the current value of I and returns a new function. When invoked, it will return that value. And assuming that the intention is to return ARR, it provides an array of functions that can be return their respected captured values. Closures. I did not get closures at all. Can you try explaining to me? A closure is a function that has access to its own scope, the outer scope, and the global scope. Closure are created every time a function is created. Inner function have access. Okay, the inner function has access to variable of its outer function even after outer function has completed execution. Closure allow to preserve state of a variable in an outer function even after it has finished execution. Okay, good. We define outer function which have a variable outer variable. Okay, inner function returns its inner function. Okay, no, outer function returns its inner function. It actually takes the variable defined in outer function and outputs it. Let count return function which increments the count, return the count. Imagine function as a box. When you create an inner function, it comes with the copy of environment variables around it, allowing it to remember the context in which it was created. Closures was a hell of drug. Let's see. Have some quiz with. A function that returns another function, a function having access to also. Okay, B would be the right answer. Next, you have to generate a counter. Each time the counter is called, it should be incremented by 1. Create counter function. Is already set up to increment. Okay. Good. I will certainly look closer again in near future. Closer promises, these two things are definitely mind-boggling concepts up to this time. Even I felt classes much easier than these two. Let's see some defer. What is this defer? The HTML defer attribute is a boolean attribute that is used to specify that the script is executed when the page has finished parsing. This attribute only works with external script. Okay, so we have written a defer, an external script, and on click my function, and where is my function? Alert. So what actually defer did? So it's an attribute. Okay, got it. It doesn't take any parameters. But what it specifically did, we will see after some questions. The primary purpose of the is to load scripts synchronously, to load synchronously, to delay and to prevent the script. Oh, okay. So I am going with C on this one. The defer attribute delays the script execution until the HTML document has been fully parsed. Okay. Should add it. Mm-hmm. I missed it. Copy it, paste it, move it to here, and yes, it only works with kernel script. When using defer attribute, the script is granted to execute in order they appear. True. And this is also the thing that I have never heard. Okay. And you have two JavaScript files and that need to be loaded and executed in order with HTML file. Okay, we just have to write defer and defer. Okay. Explain why defer attribute is for loading external script rather than defer and async script tag. Okay. So I will answering only two. Defer is an HTML attribute, while async is an JavaScript method, which is kind of true. Okay. Async, okay, async is also used with a script tag. If with async are executed as soon as they are downloaded, not necessarily in the order they appear. Okay. I never learned that the async example are not the example how async attribute example of sync attribute in HTML. Okay, so here is the async, and we also have a defer attribute, JavaScript scope, global, local, what we got else here, output. I think we have enough of a scope. I just don't want to go through this article. I'm quickly prompting it. Ask me 5 tricky questions regarding cases. What is difference between var, lat, and const in terms of scope hosting? In the following code, what will be locked to console and why? And scope of variable inside a eval function differ in strict mode versus non-strict mode. Okay, and so for the first, I'm not going to write everything, but certainly I will tell you, and we will prompt it to answer it himself. Okay. So the difference between var, lat, and const in terms of scope and hosting is let and const are, I think, block scoped, but var is global scoped. Okay, but they used to do, yeah, but they do change. Okay, next is what will be the lock to console? If true, if everything is true, we have var x equal to 1, let y is equal to 2, and z is 3. It is true, hence the function will run, and x should output 1. But wait a second, y is let defined, hence it is bounded by this parenthesis, so y would be undefined, and z should also be undefined. I think z should be, but undefined. How does the scope of variable declared inside an eval function differ in strict mode, non-strict mode? Okay. So in strict mode, it resets to the output as undefined, while in non-strict mode, I don't know. Explain how this keyword behaves in different contexts, such as within a method, within a function, and arrow function. Arrow function basically takes its lexical scope. Most cases, it outputs to undefined. In normal function, this takes on the global method, and within a method, it also takes as a global method. Unless you, if we bind this keyword to a specific function or an object. In which of the following code, what will be the output and why? Okay, console.log I, and we after delay of 1 second for var is equal to 0, and in this time we are using let. Mm, please answer every one of them. Question 1. The var is the function scope if declared inside a function, and if declared outside its global scope. Var declare with var are hosted but initialize with undefined. Okay, I think I know that. And for let is scoped, block scoped. Okay, and hoisting, the variables declared with let are hoisted but are not initialized. Accessing them before declaration result in reference error. Okay. And const are block scope like let, but it's confined to its block. Okay. And hoisting, variable declared with const are also hoisted but it's not initialized. Immutability, values assigned to const cannot be changed. What is log to console? 1 and reference error and reference error. Let and const will give a reference error, and x will give it 1, because we are inside the bound of this function. Okay. And this so because let is block scoped and y is not accessible outside if block. Okay. And z is also not accessible. How does scope of variable declared eval function? Not variable declared eval become a part of its surrounding scope, and a variable defined eval are confined to the eval scope and do not affect the surrounding scope. Next, explain how this keyword behaves in different contexts. So this refers to object the method is called on. Okay. This refers to global object. And finally, arrow function do not have their this. First loop with var 333. Because the var is function scope, the value of I is incremented to 3 by the time the callbacks are executed. And second loop with let with output 0, 1, 2. Because let is block scoped, each iteration of the loop has its own scope, preserving the value of j. Okay. And that was definitely an eye-opening thing. Time to move to the last thing, JavaScript void statement. In this article, we will know what is void operator in JavaScript, along with discussing particular conditions where void can be used and understanding the implementation. The void operator has operator precedence, that is, the priority is given to operators while passing a statement that has more than one operators performing operations in it. Here we have used parentheses to express the purpose of operation. Okay, so we do void. Void 0 can be used as a placeholder URL representing an on-click event is tied to the link performing the actual action. Void 0 is commonly used in code downsizing. It is the way of writing undefined. Three instances where void operator can be used. Active JavaScript URL. The JavaScript refers to the pseudo URL, which we provided as the value of href in the anchor tag. The browser evaluates the expression and follows the colon symbol. On the other hand, the expression that follows the colon is usually used as reference path. So the void operator is most commonly used in managing the JavaScript URL. Interactive. In some cases, it is not required a link to navigate anywhere or do anything. To achieve this, we combine the pseudo URL JavaScript with void as a value to an href, telling the browser to return do or nothing. Okay. Href JavaScript void 0. Okay. Suppression of arrow function. Arrow function provide a braceless syntax to return the value. To ensure that the return value is function expression, when it is of no use, it does not affect the code. Okay. Here we can see how the return defined value undefined on purpose. Okay. Convert any variable's value to undefined. Okay, G. So here F is 13 and H is here. G is undefined. Immediately invoked function expression is the type of JavaScript function which get executed as soon as it get defined. They are very useful because they do not affect the global object and remote variable declarations are easy. We can use the void operator to create IIFE, immediately invoked function expression. Actually, this article definitely needs summary. We will copy this. We will paste it to our test file. We will review it in full. Yes. So what is void in JavaScript? Void type. A special type in JavaScript that represents the absence of value, typically used in function to indicate no return value. When to use void? For function signature to clarify that the function does not returns a value. Control flow. When you want to execute the code without returning a result. And syntax. The void operator evaluates to an expression and returns undefined. Common use cases: preventing default behavior in links and using in JavaScript immediate function execution. Advantages: improves clarity or readability and avoids error. And that's all. And let's move to quiz session. So after that, we can finally wrap our session for the day. Oh, oopsie. Control Shift and T will bring this tab back, pasting it and sharing it. JavaScript evaluates an expression and returns undefined. True, because instead of using undefined, we can write void 0. You have a JavaScript function that performs a series of operations but should not return any value. You want to ensure that the calling this function always returns undefined. And this is an idiot answer, idiot bug. And to an idiot question, we are passing it to our idiot old friend. It's such an idiot thing. We can do anything and it will certainly return the void state. It was so easy. And that's all for the day. Where is my OBS? So finally we have done our 1 hour and 51 minutes. So it's around 2 hour. And that's all for this video. And I think this is the proper finish for the JavaScript course. I will advise you guys to practice this yourself or with the help of ChatGPT, but make sure to read and improvise over the code written by ChatGPT. Ask if there's are variations for it, and as per this video, our JavaScript session or the series is finally finished. I will definitely, if I find something interesting, I will definitely bring it, but not in this series. This series has been officially completed as per this JavaScript tutorial website on Geek for Geek. If there's iteration, I will certainly in future add a few videos in this series. And also I have to make playlist for it as advised by uh, a fellow YouTuber or a fellow commenter on one of the previous video. So bye bye. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. That's all. Take care.